Hello there, and welcome back to Here Be Dragons. I am your host, Stephen Stark, and with me we got John, we got Nessie, and and I'm just going to say it off the top. Feels a little weird to be back at it. I've been kind of off for a while. We had several of us had personal things going on. I was suffering some burnout, but yeah, it's nice to be back and just doing our thing again. So, hi, John. Hi, Nessie. I see you guys all the time, outside this context, but how you guys doing?
It does feel like we've all been sort of in and out with various things.
Yeah.
I'm like still not doing like 100%, but we're back and we're talking Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, Jess. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. We'll put it like that. Yeah. We got there she is. There's Ahsoka right there. But yeah, it's good to be back and good to have some fresh Star Wars to talk about and some Star Wars that I'm really enjoying so far. I guess that's where I'll start is off the top is that we're 2 episodes in and I really am enjoying it.
Yeah.
I think the first episode was a little better than the second one, but overall it's like A to A minus. You know what I mean? Been having a great time with it. I know, John, you were super excited for this. Nessie, I'm sure you were super excited for this.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and it's funny because you guys know I've been going through like some dental issues, so like I've been kind of miserable, just as like a constant, and so for me to say like that I fully enjoyed the show and watching it, it like that it just goes to show it was very enjoyable because it got me out of my headspace and focused on the show. So I had a great time watching it.
Yeah. And Nessie, I'm assuming you enjoyed it?
Oh, yeah. Gush. This is great. I love it. It's that period in between. It's that little slice. It's just getting closer and closer together. This is just shaving off like another layer of the onion that we've been kind of in the dark about for so many years, and just shedding that light. What was he doing on Tatooine for all those years? Being a creeper? No.
Kind of.
There's a little bit of that.
A little zombie, but
let's have it set off.
so good.
Yeah, let's say off the top, because Cloaked One is pointing out that they haven't seen it yet. We will be like talking full spoilers. So if you haven't seen the show, we'll maybe, this is your opportunity to run for the hills, to go hide in the Dune Sea. And we will, because we will be going full spoilers for this talk.
Yeah, how could we not?
Right.
Yeah,
How could we not?
Yeah, like just
Run.
very, very generally, I do just want to say like one of the things I've been looking most forward to about this is, and obviously, I've said before, I am actually more in the positive column of the prequels overall, and I'm one of a few number of people who loves episode 1. It's probably like, it's my favorite. It's my favorite like Star Wars theater experience. I still have so much nostalgia for that movie, and I will say as the second and third ones went on, like especially episode 2, I had kind of pulled back because I was fully in like Lord of the Rings mode. So I wasn't waving my Star Wars fan flag as high right there. But point being, I enjoy those movies. But that said, I was really looking forward to seeing the story of Obi-Wan and Ewan McGregor kind of pulled out of the sort of super like green screen, overabundance of CGI, world that Lucas established for the prequels and where he was pushing all that technology forward. And now that, we have different tools and different writers and different directors, like seeing that character through a different lens. And it's so great because this felt like the perfect mixture of like prequel Star Wars and old school Star Wars. And it was just a joy to watch.
Yeah.
I noticed Wheezy says, any refugees in the first 2 episodes of Obi-Wan? If she hasn't been cut, my sister will appear as a featured extra who's a grandma and a refugee. Gotta subscribe to Disney Plus. There's a lot of good stuff on Disney Plus that's not Star Wars. But yeah, I can't think of who it might be. So maybe not in this episode.
Maybe not yet.
But I've only watched it the one time. I've had a pretty stacked weekend. So.
You guys know I've watched the episodes 3 times.
No, I don't know that, but I guess I do now.
I guess I do now. Well, I watched them fresh this morning, so I'm sure I'll catch more on rewatch. But I did get my first 2 episodes in. And is there anything just more sparkly than baby Leia at this point?
Okay, I guess we're going there first because the highlight of the series for me so far is what's her name? Vivian
Lyra Blair.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like she swallowed a portion of Carrie Fisher's soul. I'm convinced.
What's such a joy about her performance is that not only does she capture, Carrie Fisher's essence as Leia and make you believe that this is this is her at a young age, but also capturing that beautiful mixture of Anakin and Padme. And like when she first appeared on screen, I even like the what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, but like when you first are seeing her getting all it's not actually her. We don't know that in the moment. When getting dressed and stuff.
Something her mom used to do.
Yeah, I'm like getting Padme feels in that moment, and with like the handmaidens and everything. So I love how they did stuff like that, and and later when Obi-Wan, mentions Padme not by name, but he says, "You remind me of someone," and it's just all that beautiful stuff. But also, she's annoying the hell out of him, like Anakin, which is such a joy to see. And so, to incorporate all 3 of those things together is just you said it, Stephen. It's a wonderful performance, and let's be honest, Star Wars has not always had the best track record with little child actors.
That's true.
As much as I do find Jake Lloyd to be adorable, and I'm fine with him as Anakin, but we've since had the child actors from Game of Thrones and things of that. I think we expect more. Nowadays from young child actors rather than just looking cute on screen. It's
She's pretty big performance, and she's got some big shoes to fill. When the series was coming out, I was kind of like, oh, okay, we're gonna get to see young Luke, whatever. Oh no, we're gonna go right somewhere else, and I am fine with this. I am perfectly fine with seeing Leia as a child, her growing up on Alderaan. We get to see Alderaan. It's not blown up. It's beautiful.
Yeah, when it cut to Alderaan, I was like, oh crap, we're going here.
There. We're there.
Enjoy while it lasts.
And then I'm like, oh wait, are we going to see Daddy Bale then?
Yeah, of course we
do.
So technically, they've said they will never recast the Holy Trinity from the original trilogy, and they have. And I gotta say, I'm completely okay with it. It's not an adult Leia; it is child Leia, which kind of is helpful for my feelings about it. Most of you know that I love Luke Skywalker like he was myself. Like that is my role model and has been my entire life as long as I can remember. But that means Leia is my sister. And seeing this little girl be such a pistol and just capture the essence of Leia so beautifully, like I got chills when because I knew who it was when they were dressing up the decoy.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, there's no way that's anybody but Leia.
Yeah.
And then
when they're like coiling the hair, and I'm like, oh, that's my little girl. Yeah, because I mean, you love Luke Skywalker the way that I love Leia. She is my spirit animal. You know, Carrie Fisher was always like a role model for me growing up, as was Leia, and this is just ice cream on the cake for me.
I like what Danny says here. The fact that Obi-Wan is stealing to provide for that anteater camel donkey means we got to see big things from that animal. I hope so. I love, like, I think I had subtitles on, so it's called an AOP, I think. But it's forever anteater camel donkey. Thank you, Danny. I appreciate you for that.
I cannot think of a better name.
And I want one. It's
not
cute.
A blurred.
Dog's barking at something. Anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, enough gushing over the Leia stuff. Shall we get into sort of like the meat of the episodes?
Yeah, sure.
Well, like, this isn't quite meat. This is how it starts off. But I just want to say, like, I was surprised and sort of overjoyed seeing, like, the recap being, you know, like a prequel summary. It was like, oh, we're doing like the previously on the Star Wars prequels. It was great. I love that. And then a little touch was the golden Lucasfilm logo, which I quite liked. Just because messing with the colors a bit reminded me of like the old school Lucasfilm logo that was kind of primarily green and then shifted to different colors. And so, yeah, and it fit with the whole like sand look of, you know, of the show. And yeah, but then we started with Order 66. Like I wasn't expecting that, and I don't know why. Maybe I should have, but
yeah.
Well, it's kind of like the linchpin.
It's a seminal moment in the series.
Yeah. Like it's everything before happened, everything before Order 66, and everything after Order 66.
It's when the rise of the Empire, the rise of Palpatine, you know, it's good. Did you recognize what it was going to be before it happened?
Well, as soon as like we saw Jedi Kids, I was like, Order 66. So I knew that was coming. What thrilled me, and again, I'm gonna get talking about like practical versus like CGI, and not to dismiss CGI because there's plenty of it, you know, in the show, but we got to see real live action clone troopers, which is something that we've never seen before, which I was very excited about, just because it brings them into the quote unquote real world, whereas they always felt, you know, I felt a little detached from them in the prequels because I always knew they weren't real except for maybe their heads. But
Cody, right? Cody was real in that one scene.
No, his head was real. His head was superimposed on a CGI body. So like, so this is the first time we've ever gotten to see any real live clone troopers, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, Ewan McGregor has said he's never shared the soundstage with a clone trooper.
He has now.
He has now.
I bet he will.
Because of a scene we'll get to in episode 2.
We'll get to that.
But,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that kind of was a little poignant moment there with the younglings. Like that's always been like for me the big tearjerker tragedy of the Order 66 and the attack on the temple, the raid on the temple was the younglings and all of the you're killing children. This is like straight up you're killing kids, and these kids, I've got a feeling we might be seeing some of those children in this series as well.
Well, I
one for sure.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
Pretty sure.
In agreement. Yeah.
Pretty sure that Reva is
one of those younglings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
Can I also, like, from a technical standpoint, you wanted to talk about practical effects. There was a couple of really nice long one takes in that battle scene where that Jedi instructor is trying to protect the younglings. And gosh, she was such a badass. I mean, she got overwhelmed eventually, but beautiful long shots of her doing the lightsaber fighting and I loved it. I loved it.
Just defensive maneuvers, just deflecting those blasters.
And it feels like it was all in the camera, and it's all like one long shot. I think there is a single cut where you transition from outside to inside. But other than that, it's all, I think it's basically 2 long one takes.
Yeah, and I especially liked when the shot starts. I'm gonna get into my DT like cinematographer mode now. We're pulling back a very smooth shot that looked like it could have been plucked from one of the George Lucas films, but then as soon as those stormtroopers barge in, it switches to handheld. And it's very chaotic and shaky, and that's kind of like that's what you want for that kind of a moment when all hell is breaking loose.
Makes it feel very kinetic.
Yeah.
Taker is saying Reva being one of the kids that fled the temple would be an interesting twist. I think that's a slam dunk. There is a young black girl kind of even featured in that group of 5 kids.
Yeah, she's like the one of them off to the side, I think.
The one that suggests that they run once their Jedi instructor is killed.
Yeah, and she's the first one that you see when the camera pulls back in the opening shot too. So I would be shocked if that's not her.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the show is starting off introducing us to her, and which is why I'm very interested to see where her character goes. Just because I like the show opens with her, and even though it is called Obi-Wan Kenobi, and it's his primarily his story, but I think she's the sort of the second protagonist, if you will.
Or the antagonist.
Antagonist, yeah.
It's she doesn't have a whole lot of redeeming qualities the way she's engaged with everyone so far. But we'll see. Like there's a lot of things I want to say about like why I think she's what her motivation is and stuff like that. So we'll get to that. But okay.
But yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. And I will say I can't think of her name. It's Moses something who plays Reva, third sister.
I think it's Moses Ingram.
Moses Ingram. And when I saw her, I'm like, where do I know her from? Where do I know her from? Where do I know her from? So I had to look her up. She was in. She was nominated for a Primetime Emmy for Best Supporting Actress for her work on The Queen's Gambit.
Which I have on my watch list. I just haven't gotten to yet.
Oh, really? It's fantastic. But she was really good in that. Again, she's not she's a supporting role in that show, but she's great. She was a standout for me from that show as well.
Well, she's getting some spotlight on this.
Okay, Stephanie, series. Bye. Don't let it get spoiled. Go watch the show, enjoy it. Come back and watch this on replay afterwards. Yeah. We love you. Yeah. Okay. So we kind of smash cut from the kids running to
To
Tatooine.
and the
Mhm.
opening scene of Inglorious
This
Bastards.
the shot of that black ship just piercing the
Mm-hmm.
sky. And it's just so, it's like, oh, that's so good. Like immediately you know, oh, they're here.
Can
They're
I
here.
just can I also say, and I think Nessie, you'll be with me on like as far as the glee of this is that when it cut from Order 66 to this shot
Mhm.
of the Inquisitor's ship and coming over, I just thought about
Mhm.
the fact that look where we've come, and I'm not disparaging like either direction in Star Wars storytelling, but like the go back to 2015 when we were sort of
Mhm.
getting this um, return to Star Wars, a reboot, if you will, kind of where all
Mhm.
the emphasis was on like, well, we think that nobody liked the prequel stuff, so we're going to go back
It's
to
something
like classic
completely
Star
different.
Wars, and
Mhm.
we're going to talk up like you know all the practical effects. This is the old
Mhm.
way of doing things, and we're gonna go with Luke, Han, Leia, and that
Yeah.
stuff. And now look, a few years later, and what is it? We're immersed in all this wonderful prequel
Mhm.
material, and
Yeah.
as
And
someone who really responds to that era of Star Wars and grew up with it, like I'm just ecstatic that they're
I,
doing this. And yeah,
I'm so glad that we went through the Clone Wars series and Rebels, especially
Mm-hmm.
now. You know, with to get the the Inquisitor, the information, the Inquisitors, and yeah, it's just tying the it's tying the prequels in. It's just giving some love to those things about the prequels that we love,
yeah.
and saying, okay, we'll scale back a little bit on the CGI, and let's have some character stories. Let's talk about these characters.
I mean,
Yeah.
we get to see, Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan waking up in the middle of the night and going, Master Qui-Gon. It's like, this is like stuff
Mhm.
that I've, been dying
Mhm.
for, and
Oh,
I'm so excited about.
so
Yes,
we're getting a Qui-Gon Force Ghost before
we
the end
got
of
to
the
do it.
series.
We
Like,
got
there's no
to.
way we're not, right?
No, I'm so stoked,
Like, I'm,
stoked.
I'm
Even if
only
it's just
like,
the
like,
voice.
like we're definitely getting Qui-Gon, but I'm only like, I'm expecting the voice. I'm not gonna hype myself
Yeah,
up for like a full-on Force Ghost because I don't want to be disappointed.
Okay.
And elsewhere we've gotten his voice. Like we did get his Force Ghost one time on Mortis, but everything was very
mhm.
in tune with the Force there, and it was kind of freaky. But
Yeah,
other,
it's like
but not
force
in
amplified
but in other places, like with Yoda
with Yoda.
near the end of Clone Wars, it was his voice. So I'm I almost completely certain we're getting his voice. I just don't want to hype myself up for full on Liam Neeson yet.
Oh yeah, we're both tagging it at the same. Tag it.
We're both trying to throw it up there, so
Yes, it
it was up
is.
and down and up and
Yes,
down.
this is all I want out of this series, even though
Yeah, I
I'm
know.
loving everything I've gotten so far. I want to see my man.
But we got news that he is like returning in animation. We're getting him in those shorts that are coming later this year, the Tales of the Jedi. So like,
Nice.
Mhm.
so
All
there is
right.
going to be Qui-Gon in our future.
I'm just blessed.
Yeah, so we move on from there and we
But
see his daily life, which is very much a rut, or very much a routine, because we see the same thing 3 times in this episode. Him
yeah,
cutting the meat, cutting off the little
me
corner of the
making
meat,
little
wrapping it up,
slides.
and taking it to what is it, anteater camel leopard or anteater
Cam-
camel donkey.
Anteater camel donkey.
And I do
And
want
he's
to
been doing
mention
this for 10 years.
And this was one of the first things in the episode where I was like, oh man, they're really tugging at my heartstrings. It's the moments where, you know, the one worker is being, shorted like half of his fee and gets knocked down. And you can see like Obi-Wan wanting to do something. And I was watching this and I was like, this man was a war hero. He leaps into action and does stuff, but he's been so beaten down at this point, and resisting that part of himself. And it was just so sad to see the look on his face. And yeah.
This okay, you were talking how there was so much homage and tie-ins with, the prequels. This is kind of like a reflection of where Luke was when he put himself on Achito, cut himself off from the Force, shut himself away for the good of, this is where Obi-Wan he's shut himself off from the Force. He can't allow himself to be connected lest he draw attention to himself, lest he draw attention to Tatooine, lest he draw attention to Luke. So he's just completely cut himself off from that thing which he's devoted his whole life to. And it's just sad. It's really sad. Until.
Yeah, and I will say, even though there's no direct callbacks to Clone Wars in the show so far, at least, another one of the things I really have enjoyed so far is that doesn't mean that you can't I feel the full weight of all the canon that's been played out. When you see Obi-Wan not taking action in that moment, I'm imagining the Obi-Wan who has leapt into action in so many different situations across so many different battles during the Clone Wars. Later on, when we have a moment between him and Bail, and I feel the full weight of their relationship that was established over the course of the war. And so that's just one of the things that made me smile throughout this whole thing is every time I've gone back to watch episode 3, there's a whole bunch of obviously they worked very hard.
You mean the main film series episode 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. When I've gone back to watch Revenge of the Sith, as fantastic as a job as they did, tying especially the finale of Clone Wars into Revenge of the Sith, it's still, at the end of the day, it's all sort of retconning certain things to fit the pieces together for something that originally did not include all that extra material. But this, now coming afterwards, has, it's freshly made with the knowledge of everything that has been made and has occurred within the larger story. And so it's just very satisfying for me to be able to watch a live action Obi-Wan Kenobi, is sort of knowing the history of everything that this character has gone through, and the other characters. I had geeked out seeing Alderaan because I've been there reading the Padme novels, and there's been stuff with Brea and Padme has been walking through the all the buildings and stuff like that, and then to see this in the show and see it so beautifully brought to life, it's just great that for me everything clicks into place with this, and it's such a beautiful representation of everything that I've been enjoying for these many years.
Yeah, I mean, we're all obviously very passionate Star Wars fans, and for different things within Star Wars, it's such a big IP at this point that you can take what you want, leave what you want. I've seen almost all of Star Wars. There's a little bit of stuff I haven't seen, I haven't seen the 2D animated Clone Wars shorts, and I haven't seen the first season of The Bad Batch. and I haven't seen the Resistance. Yeah, I'm probably not going to watch the Resistance. I hear it's kind of so-so.
Yeah, it's like I don't think you're missing anything by skipping it. So,
But yeah,
but there are a lot of people who very much warmed to that. But so I don't want to disparage that. It just wasn't like among my favorite things. And the 2D Clone Wars is great, but it's also not like, if you're making a list of stuff you want to see, to be clued into like the canon of what's going on.
Well,
like
we all know how important you think canon is.
I know, but I also know that, I know that you have a lot of, things on your plate as well, Stephen. So I'm trying to stress what the, most important things to the overall storytelling, for you to see are.
Yeah, I definitely need to watch Bad Batch.
Oh yeah. And by the way, everybody, we got that season 2 teaser today, which I was excited to finally get proof that it's actually real.
Right.
It's coming out. Anyway, Obi-Wan.
Yeah, but my larger point, though, is that this really does feel like a great bridge between the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy.
Yeah.
I mean, chronologically, it's set basically dead in the middle. It's 9-8 BBY.
We're right back on Tatooine. I mean, Star Wars just can't quit it. It's the little dirtball planet that they just keep coming back to.
And Tunisia thanks you for it, I'm sure. I'm not sure if they filmed this in Tunisia.
I don't think they even went to Tunisia, because they're using the Mandalorian tech with the backgrounds, which, and I have to say, like, the scale of Tatooine feels right to me in this show. I felt like they kind of shortchanged it a little bit in Book of Boba Fett. Like, it did look like they kept to like a very small area and that was it. Whereas this feels like the planet Tatooine to me. And
I do like the way that they have their cities, though, in a hole. put all the cities
as one would.
As one would, yeah. And just little bitty, callbacks to other things, like him butchering that. I believe that was a crate dragon.
No.
Sure.
It's some kind of whale thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't know.
I looked real close.
Okay.
I looked.
But it's just like long. It just looked like a long snake to me, and he's just chopping off those snakes,
Yeah, no, I agree with Stephen. I don't. That didn't look like a crate dragon to me, and we've recently seen like a full one,
right,
in The Mandalorian.
But
it was some other sort of like megafauna native to Tatooine. Tatooine used to be covered in oceans, so maybe it's a giant whale that evolved
grew
just
legs.
in the sand.
Grew legs, got rid of its gills, and grew armor.
I'm just going to talk about the stuff that pops into head at this moment. I'm kind of limiting it to episode 1, the Jawa scene.
Oh yes,
so good.
Tika.
Yes.
Yeah, the cleaning cost extra was a great line.
That costs extra.
She didn't even try to deny that she stole it from him.
No.
She's just like, cleaning extra. But he also gets that T-16 Skyhopper, which is exactly what Luke is playing with in A New Hope. And I was like,
It's probably the same toy. He's just kept it running all these years. But that he's looking through the macro binocs, and he cannot get close. But he's just I'm watching from a distance, and there's little Luke sitting up on the thing, pretending to be, flying and whatever and it's just like, that is so stinking cute, and you get little Annie callbacks there when he's like, that's him doing the pod racer thing.
Yep.
It's so stinking cute. Like, I feel like I'm going to be saying that a lot in this series, that those kids are going to be so stinking cute.
Yeah, like we didn't really get to see much sort of acting from young Luke, and we might
Right.
not.
We might not hit at a distance,
We might
He's
not see
at
much.
a distance.
We might not see much from Luke at all
I
because
remember.
it's all about Leia, really.
Yeah, I remember reading somewhere. I think one of the early concepts for this show was that it, in fact, was going to be Luke, and for various reasons they decided against that. Part of that was because canon-wise,
It kind of
probably
breaks the story.
yeah, it wouldn't really make sense, and also I think there was a concern too that like it was too close to the Mandalorian with Mando and little Grogu.
Grogu, yeah.
And so, and in a way, it still kind of is, but by switching it to Leia gives it a different flavor.
He's not training her.
Yeah,
This is a adult kid kind of thing, but little buddy thing, because she's practically an adult even at 10 years old.
Yeah.
how much we haven't moved on to episode 2 yet, but I just love all her snark thrown Obi-Wan's way.
And not only well timed, but like well deserved snark.
Yeah,
we'll get there.
We'll get there.
Did anybody else watching go, is that Flea?
When I saw the credits.
No, that's not what I said, because of course, like, I don't know anything about music that's not classical music, but or film scores. So I saw him and I went, Needles?
Okay, fair. Because yes, that is Needles from Back to the Future. I mean,
Yeah.
he has been in several films. He's an actor in his own right. I think he spends a lot more time with his band, but and thankfully so. I love the Chili Peppers. But yeah, I was like, is that Flea? Man, he's getting old. Yeah, see, I wasn't the only one. Okay. But he made it. He made it. Flea's in Star Wars forever.
I mean, like, I feel like nothing's out of bounds when it comes to like guest casts,
Right?
Guest casting in these shows, because it really does seem to be like, hey, I think it would be funny to have that person in Star Wars. Yeah, but yeah, that was great, because I did have my childhood like cropping back up in that moment, like. What are you, Chicken McFly?
You guys, what did you think of the Owen Obi-Wan dynamic?
Loved it.
That is like some of the best storytelling in
like how great is it that George Lucas cast Joel Edgerton as Owen, because he has just turned into such a magnificent actor, and seeing him playing Owen and the back and forth between him and Obi-Wan was just great, and he really captured that the spirit of Owen, where like Obi-Wan says it's just a toy. It's like, it's a lot more than that. It's like, that's completely Owen wanting to keep Luke away from.
I'm like growing to like Owen more and more, and I think I will now, because like he was always holding Luke back. He was trying to keep him on the farm. Okay, he really was just trying to keep him safe. He was trying to be a good dad. He's like, farming is just fine, and he was when Owen was there with Reva and she was in his face, when he was right, everything was right on the line, she was right in his face. He showed such bravery, for his family, for Luke. I was just like, oh, this guy's got some, he's got something, he's got like that inner strength. he's not militaristic. He's not, a fighter, but he has that inner strength to stand up and protect his family.
Well, and okay, so you had Uncle Owen in episode 4, the original Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like you said, Nessie, he was kind of just there to be, nope, stay home, Luke.
Yeah.
And then we did get Joel Edgerton in prequels, but he's almost there just to kind of
Like take the baby.
to like complete the circle.
Yeah.
This Owen, in one episode that we've seen him, feels like a real character delivered with heart and with care. And I loved Owen in that. I mean, we've only had him in one episode. We might get him again before the end. And if we don't, that's okay. I would love if we did, but what they gave us was fantastic because I felt that fatherly love.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Potter says, the way he delivered that, like you did his father line.
Oh,
yeah, oof,
man.
oof.
Broke.
I agree. I'd love to see Baru as well.
Yeah, Baru. Oh.
Yeah, well, because, and, in the sort of, we see her sort of in the background of when Obi-Wan's watching, and it is the same actress from the prequel. So I hope we get something more, up close with her. And I do think we're going to definitely see Owen again, before the end of the show, because I think, Obi-Wan's going to convince him to take the toy because we see Luke with it.
No, he takes he has that toy.
Yeah. So yeah, but it was great because you're right, Stephen. Like Owen and Baru in episode 2 and also the tail end of episode 3, they are kind of just sort of window dressing. They're almost like you could be forgiven for thinking they're just extras because they're just kind of
just
there to say, oh hey, it's young Owen and Baru, but they don't really do much of anything. And this was like a real like take on the character, and and it was beautiful. And the stuff with Owen and Reva was just
and the "I didn't do it for you" line as well.
Yeah,
like it made me respect him so hard.
Yeah,
not only Joel for his delivery, but Owen. Like this one episode that he was in did so much to rehab that character in my mind.
Exactly. That's exactly how I felt. It's like, okay, I'm all in for Uncle Owen now. I'm all in now.
And he's aged to look
appropriate,
sort of similar to the original actor.
He did. I mean,
Phil says he really doesn't age well. What is it, 7 years later, and he looks 30 years older? Well,
I mean,
it is 10 years, and let's, that dry desert air, 2 suns.
Okay, like everybody says this, and I don't know in the case of Joel Edgerton like how old he is and stuff, but like I've heard this same complaint about Ewan McGregor and Alec Guinness, but like at this point, like there's like in universe there's a 9-year age difference between Obi-Wan now and Obi-Wan in A New Hope, and Ewan McGregor is right now 12 years younger than Alec Guinness was at the time of filming the original Star Wars. So it's actually pretty damn close.
3 years.
It's and these are different actors, so they look different at the same or similar ages. Like that's just the way it is. Alec Guinness was never a super young looking person, and Ewan McGregor has phenomenal genes. So
also one of the biggest differences between sort of Alec Guinness's appearance and Ewan McGregor's appearance as far as this show versus that movie is that Alec Guinness's hair is all white. He doesn't have wrinkles crisscrossing his entire face. He's got a youthfulness to him still.
Yeah.
It's just, we need to see Obi-Wan's hair turn white. But if you put white hair on Ewan McGregor, I bet it doesn't. I bet it's much more convincing. And the thing is, you can see the color of my hair is mostly gray, and I just recently got a new ID card, and my ID from 5 years ago, my hair was brown. It is not brown anymore. I mean, there's still brown in there, but like my hair was dark brown. Now I'm mostly gray, and I think it's very forgivable.
Yeah, and Ewan McGregor in this, he is not without his own wrinkles in his face. A lot of people say, oh, he still looks the same as he did when he did the prequels. It's like, no, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
And a lot of us think Alec Guinness was super old because we were
children.
A lot of us were kids when we saw the movie.
Ewan McGregor would look old to me if I was like 6 years old and seeing him on screen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean that's why I love the part where Leia's like grandfather, maybe.
That was so funny.
Yeah, God, I love that kid. So
that little girl, I watched some stuff online. She's going places. I mean, we see her acting chops. So like the only thing I had to suspend my disbelief on was these grown men can't run down this child, because trust me, she ain't that fast.
Oh, the kidnappers.
Yeah, but like,
get away.
Okay, fine. For the story purposes, she's got to get away. It's fine. I can forgive that little bit of like, oh, they're really.
She's doing some great dodging and sliding under trees. And
yeah, I mean,
she does know those woods like the back of her hand.
The girl that's playing her though, Vivian, she does a lot of her own stunts at 9 years old. She was in Bird Box, and she got to see stunt people doing stuff in that film, and she's like, I want to do that too. So she started taking like parkour classes and taekwondo classes, and yeah, she's been doing a lot of her own stunts in this show.
Plus she may not know she's got it yet, but she is force capable. Steven.
Well, yeah, that's freaking Leia.
My God, and the way that it expresses itself in her, with her, it's like empathy in a way, like when she is dressing down her cousin.
Oh my God, it's so good.
It was like, it's the perfect retort. She's reading into all his insecurities and all of his, disappointments, and just making him feel, and not saying anything that isn't true, and not saying anything that's like, you're a poopy head or whatever.
Right.
It's just, and you can see how, and this is at 9 years old, when she, no wonder she's such a powerhouse in the
They're meant
Senate.
to be 10, just,
Yeah, 10 years
actually.
Okay, I said 10 earlier. Then you said 9 years old with the actress, but whatever. 10 years
The
old.
actress is 9.
She is going to be, you can see the potential of the powerhouse that she is going to be as a senator, even there.
Yeah, I can't. I would watch a whole show of just give me 10 seasons of young Leia going through the process of going from who we saw, who we've seen so far in Obi-Wan, to who we get in A New Hope. I would watch the crap out of that show.
And this is why, like, I keep saying, I wish they would just have the courage to go ahead and, like, they tried it with Han and got scared, but I wish they would feel more comfortable with just recasting actors, because I would love to follow Leia on that journey through, her becoming a senator, and then like tell stories with these characters, it would be really a lot of fun. And yeah, this version of Leia is a child, so of course it would have to be recast. But like, look how phenomenal this has turned out, and she's only gonna get better as an actress as she grows up. Like, she's got like mad skills. So like, let her continue to play Leia at different ages, and she'll be great.
So I did feel a little bit of Leia's maybe internal angst when she's having that conversation with her father, and it's like he has her whole life planned out for her right now. Oh, well, then you're going to be going to this, and then you're going to junior academy, and then you're going to junior senator school, and then you're going to the Senate, and that's that. This is your life. This is the plot, that this is the course that your life is going to take. And so her having that little rebellious spirit where she just like, no, I'm going to go do something different. But, she does what's expected of her, but she is a rebel at heart, always.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what we like. Even though she follows along on that path to become a senator, but in the end, she's she will always be a fallen rebel. Yeah.
And I just wanted to, like, I could just feel that, cousin. I thought I recognized your foul stench when your shuttle landed. Like, I could just feel that oozing off of her in that scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the best he could come up with, which probably did really wound her, you're not a real Organa.
Yeah.
But then I so loved that Bale's response to that is not to say, he could have just as easily said, you're an Organa in every way that matters. He didn't say that. He said, you are a real Organa in every way. Period. And like, that was just so great. That's a great dad right there.
Potter, even in A New Hope, she doesn't keep the British accent very long.
Yeah, and actually in one of the novels, it does actually say that she put on that accent in that scene to basically to troll Tarkin. She was mimicking him.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
What else can I say about this first episode?
There is the fugitive Jedi.
There's still a lot more about this episode that I want to talk to.
They packed a lot. They really packed a lot into it.
Yeah.
The
Which
Jedi
episode?
are hunted.
Yeah. So yeah, we have that the other Jedi, and he goes to Obi-Wan. That's really where we see a lot of these parallels between as you were saying, Nessie, with Luke and Last Jedi, where like, and there's this strange sort of dichotomy at play where his whole purpose there is trying to secure the future and fight for A New Hope. But at the same time, he's he's so dejected. He's like, the war is over, we lost. And so even as he's there for the purpose of hope, he seems not to have any himself.
He seems pretty hopeless.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just like, he doesn't say, sure, yeah, I'll try my best to help you. He's like, nope, take this out to the desert, bury it, and then forget you ever saw me, and go live a quiet life. And
go walk away, live a normal life.
Yeah.
The Taker's got a question. Do we know anything about that other Jedi on Tatooine? We really don't.
He was more than likely another Padawan that was able to slip away.
Yeah,
a youngling or a Padawan.
Or Padawan, untrained, no complete training. Just much like you
But
know,
he also
Ahsoka.
did not have his own lightsaber yet. Oh yeah, he did,
Yeah,
didn't
he did. Yeah, he did.
he? He just never used it.
Yeah. Um, but I really do want to make sure that we touch upon the stuff like when Bail reaches out to Obi-Wan, because there's just some beautiful stuff there with Obi-Wan's fear at failing again, because he just
Yeah.
he feels that he completely failed with Anakin, and like he's closed himself off so much that he's just he can't even allow himself to entertain the thought of being Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Jedi, again.
Yeah,
Like,
my name is Ben.
Ben,
yeah,
just Ben.
yeah, but then, man, he really gets it from Bale. He's like, and it was such a great line where he says, "She's as important as he is," and like so often we get like this view centered from the original trilogy of like Luke is the hope, like Luke is the one who's become a Jedi, and
No,
like
there is another.
yeah,
There is another, and Leia was there all along. She, from the groundwork of the rebellion, we saw her in Rebels, being that, that losing convoys or whatever to fund the rebellion, to supply the rebellion, and she was there. She was ground level, and then rises up. She's running the whole thing. Without Leia, it's like there is no rebellion.
Which I do want
She's
to.
the heart and soul of the rebellion.
I've heard some other people remark on this, and I'm probably stealing from Force Center again. Go listen to Force Center; they're a great podcast. But I'm just imagining like like the discussions between like Yoda and Obi-Wan, like Force Ghost Obi-Wan. It's like, no, you really have to train Luke. He's the one. It's like, why are you harping on the kid who's been out in the desert going vroom 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 when obviously Leia's the good like
Well, it was Leia all along.
like she's the sharp one. Why are we not focused on her? But yeah, and then I love when Bail comes himself to go see Obi-Wan, and this is the part where I was saying before, I really felt the weight of their relationship that had been built over the Clone Wars. The line that I love because it was so packed full of stuff, and when the last thing he says, please, old friend, for her, one last fight. And it was just like, oh man, just yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry, I just got goosebumps all down my arms and legs.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? Let's put a pin in that and let's do the
Okay.
mid-roll, okay?
All right, cool.
Because that's the thing we do around here. Yeah, yeah, I know. Like time's flying. So mid-roll, this is the part where we say, "Oh yeah, this is a YouTube channel." So like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell. Let's all feed the algorithm together. Thank you very much, please.
Wait, we weren't just doing a Zoom call? That's what I thought this was.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of that too. Speaking of Zoom calls, we have Zoom calls all the time where John and Nessie and I are there, but also people like this guy right here, Potter, or this lady right here, Blue Lemons. I know I saw Jess in the chat earlier who is on there frequently, and lots of our other friends. We have them on the regular. So, yeah, if you would like to get in on that, you need to join our Slack group, because that's where we organize it through, and you can get in on that by sending me an email to we3dragons@gmail.com, and I will send you a Slack invite. And it's kind of become a thing on our Friday nights to jump on. How many people have on last night concurrently? Like 10 people last night concurrently? anyway, we had a great time. But if you want to get in on that, you need to send me an email to this email address, and I will get you in. Um, Gonna make sure we shout out our patrons because they are awesome, and we love them. Our Patreon High Council consists of ridiculous Ed Tollett, our alpha patron, who has been here, our first ever patron, also a member of the High Council, and also a guy I play video games with on the side. Love you, Sean. Also on the High Council is Lord John Bronsteen the Wise. Bronte, who I got to hang out with again at Ice and FireCon. It was awesome. And they are supported by the nobility of the realm, including Ryan Stavka, the Russian Quartermaster, Reflective Rambling, Arch-Maester Emma, Kate, Mistress of the House of Books, and Jared Kozal, Doctor of Dragons. Yeah, so thank you so much, patrons. We love you guys. Now let's talk about what's coming up. John, you got anything coming up?
I do not.
Oh,
I do want to just say what's probably coming up next, even though it's not on the immediate horizon, but I am probably going to, and she doesn't know about this yet, so true to form, I'm like saying this, but Blue Lemons, actually, I'm going to try and recruit her to come on for a stream about the movie The Northman, which we have both seen recently, and I don't think she'll object. Of course, you can say so now, Trish. In any case, it's not coming up like next week or anything. It'll be a little while yet. So this isn't like with Kelly where I say, yeah, tomorrow we're doing it. But yeah, so that'll be coming up, and then I'm going to try and think up some other stuff. But I do want to mention, Trish and I actually just went to a convention last weekend, MegaCon here in Orlando, and yeah, I thought you might be interested in Trish.
Yeah, and yes. I could just said Joe Walker.
I got some Star Wars related stuff that I just wanted to show off real quick. I got some autographs here from
hold on, let me give you the
get the big screen.
Yeah, from Matt Lanter, James Arnold Taylor, and one Ashley Eckstein. That is Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka from Star Wars: The Clone Wars. And I also went back for another thing to get Ashley to sign another one, this wonderful Ahsoka art.
Oh, nice.
So yeah,
awesome.
So
nice
yeah, yeah, I know. I wore this as well, and I actually got to meet all three of them in this weekend, and Ashley was just adorable. She is as nice and sweet a person as you would want her to be. So yeah, we did a lot of other stuff, but that's the Star Wars related stuff. Or you can take me off of the solo screen. I'm getting
sorry. I'm multitasking. I'm saying hi to Kate in the chat.
Hi, Kate.
But yeah, so that's the stuff with me. Nessie, you got anything coming up?
No plans with the channel right now, but next month there is like a nice little meetup that we're going to have in Virginia, and I think I'm going to see you there.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
We'll see. Anyway, that being said, there's a couple of weeks next month where I might be the only one on, so I will be attempting to fill those weekends with things that you guys are not doing. We do not have a plan for next week. That's okay. We're kind of winging it right now as we work our way back in. But things I want to cover in the near future include the show Arcane, which I've already got Maddie K to agree to come talk about Arcane with me. If you haven't watched Arcane, it's extremely good. I'm going to sound like a shithead if I'm not careful, but I think it has some of the best written female characters I've ever seen. Okay, I like just so good. I loved it. Can't wait to talk about that. I do have a surprise. I know that nerd that I'm kind of working on. It's going to be very awesome if I can, if not if, when I can work it out. And hopefully, maybe one of those weeks when you guys aren't here, I will have that I know that nerd. And y'all can tune in anyway.
Maybe. Yeah.
See, Cedric knows. Yep. Arcane, it was awesome. Really, and it's a show based on League of Legends, the video game, which I have never played League of Legends even once. I didn't know anything about its lore or its universe or anything, and I thought the show was incredible.
I just I'm never not going to be able to I've never played League of Legends since I don't really play video games these days. But like those of you who listen to the podcast, The Friendship Onion with Billy Boyd and Dominic Monaghan, they do play it, and they've got this regular segment talking about it where they just do like a quick flash of some music and they go League of Legends. And so that's how I know about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I imagine that's a good one to talk about while I'm not here because I haven't gotten to watch the show. So,
well, again, I'm not sure what we're like. Nessie, you won't be here next week. You got to work, I imagine.
Yep, you know the routine.
Just me and John next week, but we'll figure out something.
Mm-hmm.
Come back and we'll have something fun. I unfortunately will not be attending this get-together that they're having in Virginia.
You're going somewhere.
I cannot afford the time off. Side note, I am, fingers crossed, trying to make it to New York Comic Con in October.
I am not, because like after this trip, I'm not doing anything else for the rest of the year.
Right. You got a big trip next year.
Yeah, and like
big trip next year.
So like I need to attempt to save some money for that. And also I'm just tired. Making so many.
I just want to see all my friends again. I'm ready to see my friends again.
I mean, real talk, I wish I could go, but there's just can't afford the time off.
Yeah.
Well, anything else we need to cover in the mid-roll?
No.
I can't think of anything else either. All right, well,
no, I think that's
let's get back to Obi-Wan Kenobi, and we'll open it up to episode 2 discussion as well. But just we're kind of shotgunning this anyway. Whatever strikes your fancy here, whatever you want to talk about. One thing I do want to make sure I mention is the way Obi-Wan made his meal and it sort of popped up out of the liquid like portion did. I was like, I see you. Like you got that sequel trilogy nod in there a little bit.
Yeah, I very much enjoyed that. Yeah, no, and there were a couple like little nods throughout, like that moment. Also, Bale, saying that to Leia that you're an Organa in every way. That very much, I know we don't like to mention it too often, but that it did have shades of of Rise of Skywalker and Rey Skywalker, which. I don't think I dislike as much as many people do. It's actually probably one of the moments of the movie that I actually like, and so I felt like this was Star Wars reinforcing that family is more than bloodlines, and we get that with a lot of Star Wars media. Found family is a huge huge aspect of
And
Star Wars.
let's be honest, they're preaching at the choir with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was another little touchstone scene where Obi-Wan is uncovering the lights out in the desert, uncovering the lightsabers, and it's much like the final scene where um, Rey is burying the lightsabers at the end. So it's kind of like symmetry. They rhyme a little bit.
Oh, and okay, so I didn't mention it because okay, here's the thing. Like, I did have like a long list of stuff in order that I was going to touch on, but we've just been jumping around, so
You know how we do.
So I have missed some stuff. But I was going to mention the score for this show is beautiful.
Oh yeah, okay, go ahead.
Yeah,
And the main theme is written by John Williams, Obi-Wan's theme, which actually, it's funny because the first time I heard it, I was like, I don't know if that's going to be very memorable to me. But then, like, the day after I saw the show, and I'd probably watched it like 2 times by that point, and I remember I was in the bathroom brushing my teeth, and then all of a sudden I started to hear the theme in my head. I was like, oh, hey, it is sticking around. But I love the way that it's intertwined throughout, especially the moments when Obi-Wan is going through the desert. It just had this sort of epic feel to it, but emotional, like something almost Lawrence of Arabia-esque. And I love it when he's going out to get the lightsabers, which is what made me think of it. The music there, and it's
chill.
And so the theme is by John Williams, and the score itself is written by Natalie Holt, who did the score for Loki, which I also really enjoyed.
Nice.
So what I like about it is, even though it's not, I don't think it's as rooted in, like, the Star Wars films have a very sort of unique kind of score where it's heavy on like themes, and not to say that this isn't, but I feel like what this score is really going for is hitting emotional buttons throughout to make sure that it's sort of emotionally, hitting you in the right places. And but that said, like I said before, the main theme itself has actually stuck in my head, and I quite like it. So yeah, I'm interested to see what they do, what's done with the music from here on out.
Yeah, chat's going off about the scene with the clone soldier and Obi-Wan.
Oh god.
Okay.
And it just
Oh my god, broke my heart. Like I'm just like, I hear that voice, I'm like, oh.
Huh?
And then sure enough,
it's him. It's him.
There's Tamora Morrison playing.
Yeah, that voice is unmistakable.
A broken down on his luck, living on the street. Another veteran of a useless, senseless war.
And this again is
it's a little close to home,
Yeah, and this is again what I'm talking about the and this is more of a direct tie to Clone Wars, because it's it's one of the clones, but it's like, this is what I was appreciating. Yeah, it's the fact that in the prequels themselves, you didn't necessarily have this emotional bond with the clones. Like, you got the idea of them and sort of, and the betrayal and all that, but this beat is really leaning into the emotional connection that we have formed with the clones over the years through Clone Wars and other things. And just seeing him there and seeing like how this poor soldier got used and was just
left to die.
Left to die. Yeah, it's
He
just
was of no more use.
yeah. It's just
Obsolete.
Okay, I'm going to move on from this very depressing topic.
Well, there's a lot of
It, 'cause
sadness.
it hits close to home, you know.
Yeah.
I'm a U.S. Army veteran myself, and
Yeah.
nobody cares. I mean, people care, but nobody cares. You know, you're sold this false. You're sold this false bill of goods when you join the military about how it's going to make a difference for the rest of your life and people blah blah blah, and it's going to get you in the door and this and that and the other thing, and nobody cares. But yeah, so I love seeing Tamura Morrison. I thought it was a powerful commentary on the way we treat military veterans. Very sad.
Yeah.
But on the
Same.
very not sad side was Kumail Nanjiani's character, who I was like, this
The
is so
charlatan.
good. Yes, because like you could sniff out that he wasn't a Jedi from the beginning,
Oh,
because we know what Jedi look like and act like and sound like, and
I thought I was gonna die with the expression on Ewan McGregor's face when he's doing the you know. It was like the expression on Obi-Wan's face was this effing guy.
effing guy.
Yeah, no, it's a great character, and like all the more so because he wasn't like entirely heartless. Like, yeah, he's a charlatan, and you know he's taking advantage of people to earn money, but like he's not selling them out. You know,
right, he is legitimately getting them to safety.
Yeah,
And I mean, this was a Force-sensitive kid whom the Inquisitors were, he would end up with the Inquisitors if his gifts came, were known. And, he's, in a way...
Best case scenario, he ends up with the Inquisitors.
Yeah. Best case, or not, he's very vulnerable. He must be protected. And so in his way, maybe he looked up to the Jedi when he was a kid, and now pretending to be a Jedi and helping these people in a grifty-ish kind of way, but still, you got to make a living.
I'm sorry, I did love his whole thing where he says, have I not, I don't know the exact line, have I done some not so great things? Yeah. Do I feel guilty about it? Sometimes.
Sometimes. I
Do
mean,
I like
completely
credits?
honest.
Yes, you can buy a lot of things with credits.
You can help more people get off planet with credits. You got bribes to pay.
I really love the sort of like misdirect they did when Obi-Wan pops up on the Bounty Hunter Network, and he's like, "We got to get to him first," because I'm like, "Oh, they're gonna go. He's trying to get paid," but he wasn't, because he did legit help them out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And stuck his neck out in so doing.
Yeah, I mean he's definitely underground. He's got.
Yeah, he stands up to freaking Inquisitor and to like stall her, and okay, it didn't work out that great because she finds out where they're headed, but the intention was good, and that's no small thing to stand up to Inquisitors pretending to be a Jedi.
And these are the little seedlings of the rebellion, and I think we're going to see more of this in this series, and especially in like the next series, Star Wars series down the road. But this is the seed. This is the little bit. Okay, people are pushing back against the system.
All right, some people are like asking when he says like you're not alone, and like there's like people where he's sending them. Do you think we're going to see somebody we know?
I mean, the list of people who it could be is pretty short, although like the lore is expanding all the time. We got a Jedi in episode 1 that we didn't know existed.
We didn't know him.
in a time when the Jedi are all but extinct. So it's
Doesn't mean they
possible.
are extinct. All but.
Right.
There's just a few, the little, yeah, grifty-ish.
I gotta say that since you're not as clued in to most of this, Stephen, because you haven't started watching the show yet. But like my mind goes like, could we actually see the Bad Batch?
Mm.
I'm serious. Like, are we gonna see Rex? Are we gonna see Rex?
Like I feel like
Uh,
I think I do think we're due a Rex for the Ahsoka show. I know he's going to be old, like
Are we gonna see Cody?
but I don't know. Well, we have to talk about that trailer that came out for the Bad Batch
nope,
season 2.
haven't. I'm behind, so sorry. Stick a fork in that.
Yeah, but I think there are some, or it could be new characters. We'll just have to wait and
we don't
see.
know.
Yeah.
So many younglings apparently. I mean, were able to slip out.
I know that somebody did mention, like, I don't think it would be a Ahsoka, because I don't see what's what's his name, Haja. I don't see him being connected to real Jedi. I could be wrong about that, but I understand why people would want that to be the case, because I too would give anything to have a reunion between Ahsoka and Obi-Wan.
I could see him knowing who Hondo is.
Oh God, Hondo. Yeah.
Oh God, please! I would love that.
Just imagine
the universe right now. Let's all light a little prayer candle.
Just imagine the look on Obi-Wan's face if it's Hondo.
Obi-Wan Hondo reunion. Let it be.
Well, there's still some.
He's got to get back. Oh yeah, maybe he has to. Oh yes, it can happen.
There are still some people cast in the show whose characters are not known, including O'Shea Jackson Jr. and Maya Erskine.
Okay.
We don't know what either one of their characters are. So
I have to say though, like if they have an interest in bringing Hondo into live action, like this is the best opportunity to do it, because he has that, that relationship with Obi-Wan.
I mean, they've been captured before. They've been held for ransom. It's yeah, it can happen.
Did y'all? I'm pretty sure there is a Luke Skywalker background cameo in episode 2. Did y'all catch that?
No, I did not.
Yeah, just there is a guy walking through, what is it, Dayu,
yeah.
And there's a person that walks in the background and is kind of looking over at Obi-Wan, and I'm like, that's Mark Hamill. I'm almost sure of it. It's he's back and his face is a little covered because he's got a hood on, and I'm sure it's not Luke Skywalker, because Luke Skywalker is a 10-year-old. But I'm it might just be Mark Hamill in the background.
Yeah, I was confused for a second, because we're talking about like so many different characters and so many different timelines that I was like, wait a second, could it have been Luke there? Wait a second, he's back on Tatooine as a 10-year-old.
But it could be this random stranger played by.
Yeah, it's just I'm sure there's nothing, it's just an opportunity for Mark Hamill to walk across the set.
Okay, but it's, we can talk about, as I referred to it when I saw this, Breaking Ben.
Breaking Ben.
Nice.
Yes.
Did very much. I was waiting for him to say, "Jesse, we got to cook." But yeah, that was great, because it was Detective Obi-Wan again, where he's sneaking around.
Yes.
And I always love to see that.
Yep, that's a little more prequel spice. And spice, yeah. Another.
Everybody bleeds. Man, that was a good crafty moment. We just gotta get to Obi-Wan and Leia because
Episode 2.
It was just so much fun, just the whole time. And like, I think probably one of my favorite moments between them is like, when he's telling her to like stay away from everything, don't smell anything, don't touch anything, and then he goes to buy the new clothes, and she's looking at the gloves like
I want these.
Like we'd expect no less of Padme's daughter, and one side he's like, no, you don't need those, and then within 3 seconds flat, he's like, the gloves too.
Yeah, he's already figured out he can't argue successfully with her.
No.
And yeah, I mentioned earlier, he says, if anybody asks where, we're from, I forget which planet, and he says, and you're my daughter, and then she's a granddaughter. Maybe. What? Nothing. But it was so good because, again, like, totally embodied both Anakin and Padme. And
yeah, like, her delivery is great, but they've just written it so well.
Yeah. And like, that is the thing. It's such a pleasure to see, like, really cleverly written dialogue for these characters because, all right, facts. Like, George Lucas was never the best at writing dialogue. Like, yeah, even the people who, even those of us who full on defend the prequels will say, like, that was not his skill. And so it's really nice to see these characters sort of, exercising like sharp wit, back and forth. And
what was it that Harrison Ford said? George, you can write this shit, but you can't say it.
Yeah. But yeah, no, so that's such a, it's such a wonderful joy, especially to see Ewan McGregor getting to, deliver, this kind of dialogue and to be honest, to play off of real sets and backgrounds and everything, even though like they are using the new technology of what's it called?
Come on, John.
God, I can't remember what
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Let me look it up.
Oh, you want to know a fun fact? The young woman selling Ewan McGregor's spice on Dayu is Ewan McGregor's real life daughter.
Yeah.
But I was somebody's daughter once.
Get her in there, yeah.
That line, I was somebody's daughter.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. And she still has her little princessy, prissy, attitude about her. It's like, you're a Jedi. Make me float. I want to float. Let's float right here.
Which again is another like callback to the sequels with Radio, and the Force is a power the Jedi had that makes things float. I just looked it up. It's called the volume. That's what the thing that they film in, which has the backgrounds in super high detail and in the background, so that they're not acting against the green screen, but they can see actual real life backgrounds, like, which must just be a total change for Ewan McGregor, and Hayden Christensen, although we haven't seen, we've only seen like.
Okay, I want to make sure it gets brought up before we end, so I'm going to bring it up now. That smash cut at the end of episode 2 was bone chilling.
Well, right off of the reveal, you see Obi-Wan's face and the emotions, everything he's going through is like his world thought has just changed, and then smash cut, and
that is the first time he says the name Anakin in the series. Owen says it, and
Bale says it.
Bale says it,
Yeah.
but
he couldn't say his name.
Oof.
Like, and that's so loaded. Like, what is running through his head in that moment? It's like got to be so many different things, like just because of what he's, the sort of guilt he's had on, on what he thought he finished, and and so what's running through his mind in the moment? Is it, I failed, I didn't complete my mission, or is it even, as dangerous a thought as this is part of it, my friend is still alive,
my brother,
and maybe I have a chance to.
Yeah, I bet it's all of that.
Yeah,
all of that. It's everything.
That's why he's so like shell shocked in the moment.
Yeah,
I'm sure because he knows Anakin is Vader, Anakin is alive. That's my friend. That's my greatest enemy. That's our greatest enemy. Is there a chance? If not, I know how powerful he is. I'm terrified because I've spent 10 years not doing Force stuff. I imagine there's about 15 different emotions running through Anakin or Obi-Wan all at once.
And even more so because of the children. You've got to be even more terrified for them. That the knowledge of them not escape.
And other people have
brought this little one right here.
I've heard other people discussing that this is a great opportunity to actually that's what this story is ultimately going to be about. There's the line in A Return of the Jedi where Vader says Obi-Wan once thought as you do, and what if that's referencing back to this, if he still has hope that maybe he can turn Anakin back, and that this story will be about that failure. And
you know what? I wouldn't put it past him. Star Wars has always done that, taken a throwaway line and turned it into something huge,
or given it the meaning. Yes, given it some meaning. Neat. It's like it's everything now.
Yeah, no, it's oh my god.
Like
Obi-Wan once thought as you did.
I am critical. It's part of what we do here is to honestly critique. But I find myself saying the only real critical thing I can say about any of this is that a grown man, like you can tell that the grown men running after baby Leia are holding back.
Yeah. There's a little flinch there. You could, it was there, but I forgive it.
I do too, because everything else is so good,
and she got to do her own stuff.
And like Vivian Lyra Blair, you're in Star Wars now forever, and you are tackling one of you. Those are some monstrously big shoes to fill that Carrie Fisher left behind for you.
Yeah.
Good luck. You've done great so far.
Yeah.
But your name is going to live forever in Star Wars canon now. Good luck.
Yeah. I mean, no wonder she didn't have any problem on Endor. She can already climb trees.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to cut in real quick and say to Guilty, yes, clearly, and I'm sure that's what George Lucas was was doing with that. But one of the things, like, if it's something we've learned with Clone Wars, it's that things can be expanded upon and added depth can be given even where previously maybe you thought there wasn't any more to it. Like there was a time when we were like, what, Anakin has a Padawan? What? you know,
And now
but
Ahsoka.
yeah, and look what that's given birth to. So like the fact that that probably was the original intention, that that line is referencing Mustafar, does not mean that we can't now expand upon that, and that can possibly be what this story is about. You know, building on what Padme says to Obi-Wan. When she says there is still good in him now. At the time, Obi-Wan thinks that Anakin is dead, but now knowing that he is not does
dead.
His mind go back to that and feel like he has to make it, he has to make that effort.
I've got a question. And okay, it's a complicated question, so let me just work through this. In A New Hope, Vader says to Obi-Wan, when last we met, I was but the learner. Now I am the master. Mm-hmm. Does that preclude them from meeting in this show?
He said, when I left you, I was but the learner.
Left you. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's an important distinction to make.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I understand the people who will still, hear that line. They're like, oh, this is...
flip the table. Star Wars is ruined.
Yeah, but it's a question of
not enshrine everything. You know,
do you allow yourself to be open to new storytelling and exactly.
That's a very solid point, Dan.
Yeah.
I like your point.
I think they're going to cross sabers again.
Well, yeah, I mean, from everything that I've heard, I have kind of assumed that's and again, I totally get that, if you're the type of fan who's like, this is not what was intended. Mustafar was supposed to be the last time they met. Okay, that's fine. I do. I can respect that, and but my real enjoyment of Star Wars has come from the expansion of stuff that wasn't originally, it was originally very simple, but has since been, delved into greater detail. There's so much, we thought we knew what was up with the whole Chosen One, prophecy, and then we get all the Mustafar stuff, which is sort of added so many new different layers to it, and so that changed that, and like I said with Ahsoka, that was a whole thing that watching Revenge of the Sith originally, you'd never think in a million years that Anakin would have had a Padawan, and that's why a lot of people cried foul when Clone Wars started up, but they made that work beautifully, and and Obi-Wan, having once been in love, and yet that story was beautiful.
That's another point. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but when he's saying you remind me of someone, he could be talking about Satine as well, because she wasn't a Jedi, she was a leader.
I know, but my immediate take on it was that it was Padme, and I'm just going to say, be very careful, Stephen, because I've seen some rage from some Padme fans over the past couple days when people have tried to attribute that to somebody else.
I'm not saying that's exact. You know what, Padme fans, come at me. I don't care. He's clearly meant to be thinking of Padme in the moment, but there's no reason he can't also see elements of Satine there, because she was not a Jedi, she was a leader also.
Yeah, I do want a solid Satine reference at some point. It would be nice.
Well, it was specifically about her stubbornness and her tenacity, and having nothing to do with any. It was that personal, just that little personality quirk that is, that they were. that he was talking about. And shoot, it could have been, you know, it could have very easily been Padme because she was so determined. But Satine held her own and held her to her grounds. Pacifism. We're not.
Yeah, I
Sometimes
mean,
pacifism is harder than war.
yeah,
What is
but
that
but
about?
I was definitely inclined though, just because he's speaking to Padme's daughter in that moment. That
Well,
like
yeah, of
it's
course.
intended to be Padme.
I'm sorry. You said pacifism. It reminded me of a line from the most recent episode of Star Trek: Strange New Worlds, which I've been watching and have been loving. By the way, like
I'm getting
absolutely,
to it,
really,
man. I'm
thoroughly
getting to
enjoying
it.
the show. There is a line that one of the characters says that goes something like, "Pacifism is not passivity," and I think Satine embodies that very, very well. Also, for those of you that have any love of Star Trek at all, check out Strange New Worlds. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I just finished season
Sorry
2.
to bring up Star Trek in the middle of a Star Wars conversation, but I'm done.
Oh,
I
we're
know.
gonna burn in hell anyway.
God, Stephen, how could you? But no, while we have mentioned Satine though, like the fact that Lucasfilm and Dave Filoni are doing Tales of the Jedi, which is going to be a short series of 6 short. That's not 6. This is 6. 6 short films of animation and Clone Wars style about the history of. I think primarily it's going to be, as they said, it's going to be Ahsoka and Dooku, but with some other characters in there. Makes me hopeful that, like, if they're doing this and they're delving back into the past and using animation for that, I am so incredibly hopeful that they're going to do the Obi-Wan and Satine story, because I really want to see that. So yeah, fingers crossed for that one.
We got a lot of hope.
A new one?
There's new hope in the Star Wars universe, and I am here for it.
So some stuff we didn't talk about from this episode. Obviously, Reva has set up, this trap for Obi-Wan, and then, she's getting, rain on her parade, so to speak, when the other Inquisitors show up, and we get sort of, more revelations about how she's viewed by the Grand Inquisitor and the other Inquisitors, as she's referred to as the least of us. And it's going to be really interesting to see like how she came to the Inquisitors, because like I think we've all agreed that she's one of the younglings at the beginning of the first episode. And like, how did she come to them that she's viewed as lesser than the others? She looks a lot better than any of the other ones.
You're wrong about that, but and also like there's a huge divide between her and the rest of them. She's at odds with all of them. Literally stabs the Grand Inquisitor through the chest. He does not die, by the way, because we see him in the Rebel series, which takes place several years after this, and we don't see her. So I actually think maybe when we were talking about her earlier, and you had said maybe she is a secondary protagonist, maybe there's some legs there.
Yeah. Well, and this is my thoughts on. I think that she's coming from a place of anger at the Jedi, because I think we're going to see that, and especially since she seems to know exactly who Vader is, because she says Anakin is alive. I think she witnesses him cutting down Jedi at the temple, and I think that maybe she holds Obi-Wan responsible for for his turn and for basically destroying everything that she knew. There might be an element of that at play. So I'm very interested to see, like, how that all unfolded, because I don't think we've seen the last flashback to her at the temple. And yeah, and so I think she's coming from a place of like anger about that, and that if she can get past that, who knows where her character might go. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, because it's all very personal to her, you can tell.
Very personal.
Yeah. I do love the, like, I am really enjoying the character. I love when, like, she's creeping into the building. She's like, Obi-Wan.
Come out and play. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. So
she did set the perfect trap. When you're
I also love that she can sense Obi-Wan's state of mind in that moment, because he's really out of practice with the Force.
Yeah.
You can tell he's not as a muscle he has not worked out in 10 years. Yeah,
because it, like, when he's fighting, like, her goons and stuff, like, he's
hands.
Yeah, he's a skilled fighter, but he's not really using the Force there, and it takes, like, effort in the moment when Leia is falling to catch her. It's like he doesn't just automatically do it. He has to open himself back up to the Force in that moment.
Yeah, she does get to float though, so there's that.
Yeah.
So even then, she's getting exactly what she wanted.
Yeah. She's like, hey, that's a neat trick. I'm going to remember that for later in life.
Okay. Y'all, we got about 10 minutes left in the stream. John, Nessie, make sure you bring up anything you want to, that has to be brought up. And everyone in the chat, if there is a question or a point that we haven't touched on yet, let us know. We'll make sure to try to squeeze it in.
Okay.
Yeah, bring up your list, John.
Yeah. First, I want to comment on Rupert Friend, who plays the Grand Inquisitor.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of skeptical about the character's design early on, because he does not quite, the proportions are a little bit different from, his character design in Rebels, and, to be honest, from that species design in Revenge of the Sith as well. Yep. But his performance is really good. Like, he has that vibe that Jason Isaacs gave the Grand Inquisitor in Rebels. So I'm actually on board. I'm interested to see, like, he obviously isn't dead.
Let's throw him in a bacta tank. He'll be fine.
Yeah. So like, yeah, I'm interested to see what happens there, because if I hadn't watched Rebels, I'd be like, oh, he's dead. But we know he's not. So where does that go? Another thing I want to mention is, all right, her name is Simone Kessel, who plays Brea Organa. She was great. I loved her performance and her back and forth with Leia. I loved, I can feel what you're doing. That was great. And I know who she takes after.
The little droid of her.
Yeah.
Like the best.
Yeah, Lola, like, totally reminded me of Batteries Not
Included.
Yeah.
Great movie for those of you that haven't seen it. Great little movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like, oh, she's like her dad.
Again, going back to that scene between Bail and Obi-Wan, where, because I spoke about it briefly, but just what Bail says in that moment, he's like, this isn't about the boy, and you know it. Look, you made mistakes. We all did. But you have to move past that. And, And when Obi-Wan says, well, what if I can't? He says, you're going to have to. And, it's just
That's
real tough love. And, it was just great. I loved seeing their relationship depicted on screen because Bail was, part of, the Clone Wars, and he interacted with both Anakin and Obi-Wan frequently over the course of that show. So I liked seeing that reflected rather than them sort of vaguely knowing each other from Revenge of the Sith. Like I like that they leaned into that closer relationship that they have. Let me think if there's anything else. Yeah, I don't know. Something else might pop in my head.
Nessie,
but like, I just love this show.
Chance.
Yeah, I just had a blast with this show. Like, it's really good. So, okay. Go ahead.
Nessie, you got something? Anything you want to make sure we bring up?
Oh, well, I was just trying to read what was going. Like, the chat's been going crazy.
Yeah, we've had pretty lively chat.
Episode. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the future dynamics between Anakin and Obi-Wan. And what is it with Reva? Is she have some, maybe she has in her current position, because she is very rebellious amongst the Inquisitors. She just will not follow orders or what have you. I mean, does she have some deeper connection currently with Anakin / Darth Vader? Because she seems to have a lot of insight as to what the perfect trap to pull Obi-Wan out of the ether. If anything, yeah. I mean, it's like she's got a lot of insider information.
Cedric, I think you will find that what she says is not what she's not after what she was promised. She's after what she is owed.
Owed.
Yeah.
Which, that's a different vibe. Mm-hmm. And what she might feel like she's owed something that was never promised to her. And what she's owed might be an opportunity to be a Jedi. It might be an opportunity to meet Vader. Because she may have never met Vader face to face. Maybe she wants to kill Vader. And she's going through all of this just to get the chance to get close to him, to kill him. Which we obviously know she won't be able to kill him. But that's sort of like one of the theories that's kicking around in the back of my head, is that maybe she's willing to go as far as she has to get close to Vader, to end him, because she saw him chopping up her friends when she was a kid.
Do you think we're going to go back to Mustafar? That's kind of where Vader's fortress is.
I don't know that we need to, but it wouldn't surprise me. Star Wars, they love, like, they'll expand the universe all the time.
Well, actually, we have seen shots in the trailer of Vader, like, his arm, like, being assembled onto the rest of his body. So, like, I think, like, we may see him getting ready to leave Mustafar, but I think primarily he's going to set out in search of Obi-Wan.
We might get a shot or two of Mustafar, but I don't know that we'll have a.
You don't think they're going to circle back? You don't think they're going to have a
No, I don't. I don't think the duel will be on Mustafar, because we've done that. Because we've done that, so although
I wasn't thinking
Star Wars has never been averse to repeat it.
It rhymes, as George would say. It rhymes.
It does rhyme. Yeah. I was thinking maybe not the planet itself, but like the fortress. Vader's fortress. But.
Well, we'll see.
We got a couple more episodes to look forward to.
So, like, now that the idea has been planted in my head, I really do want to see Hondo.
Okay.
Like, I'm not gonna bank on it, but like, it's now one of my hopes.
How much you want to bet? Yeah, Potter, you barely beat me to it. I was gonna say, how much you want to bet if Obi-Wan and Vader face off? Vader makes sure that it's a flat plane that they're on.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You beat me to it, my man. You beat me barely. All right, y'all. That's all. I've kind of said my piece. The show is great. I'm really enjoying it. Not perfect, but as close enough as makes no difference as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
It's great Star Wars.
Yeah,
I will,
really
I
damn
will
good.
say, and like, I have no objection whatsoever with anybody, and I'm sure there are people who disagree with this. This personally, like, I've enjoyed at least what I've seen of it so far more than the other live action Star Wars that they've done, because this feels like a larger story, whereas even Mandalorian feels more episodic, and this feels like a large scale film just told over, but it's being told over 6 parts.
Yeah.
But I'm enjoying it just because of the scale of the story, and it's giving me like what I've really wanted, which was to delve back into like the prequel verse, of Star Wars, but just with all the new toys at play, and I'll be honest, more skilled writers. Sorry, George, I love you.
George is a great story guy, not a great dialogue guy.
Yeah.
And there is a difference.
And he's not an actor's director either.
Yeah. And that was the thing, like, well, and Ewan was always the standout from the prequels. Like, he always did such a phenomenal job. Like, he gave a great performance, even as other people, were sort of struggling. So I knew that he was going to deliver in the show with a director who's perhaps better suited to directing actors. And like, he's just the depth that he's giving Obi-Wan, and it's just beautiful to see. And then on top of that, we're getting a bunch of other really great performances, particularly from little Leia, who, like, we all already love. How could we not? And it's just, it's a wonderful show. They're doing a great job with it, and I'm just really interested to see where things go now, because we've had, like, I was wondering with this show, like, okay, what's kind of the setup of this? What is it that provokes Obi-Wan to, because I knew he was going to be leaving Tatooine, but like, what's the inciting incident? We know that now, and now it's just like, oh shit, what's going to happen, from here on out, to where we know he's headed to some kind of confrontation with Vader, and so I'm just excited to see where things go.
I will say one last thing I need to say. We've talked a lot about everybody else's portrayal, but I need to echo John. Ewan McGregor is crushing it.
Yeah.
Like crushing it. You can feel the conflict within him.
Yep.
I mean, that ending, just like we talked about, all the things like running, but like, he doesn't say a word except for Anakin, and but it's all over his face.
It's the emotion. It's there. It's coming across like in waves and waves and waves.
So long story short, show is great. We all loved it. We'll be back, I'm sure, to talk about the end of it in like a month.
Yeah, which is why I did want to, like, I suggested it for this week because I wanted you to be here for it, Nessie. And then I believe the last episode will air on a week when you are also available. So we'll get to do both parts of this with you. And somebody did just mention his name. That was somebody else who I've been wondering if we're going to, if we might have a chance of seeing Ian McDiarmid. Could we see the Emperor?
Of course we could.
Of course we could.
So we'll see.
Why not?
All right, y'all. That's it for me, though. I think we're ready to stick a fork in this one, right?
Yeah.
Good time had by all. Thank you to all the lovely people who showed up to hang out with us and talk with us. The chat was quite lively today. Lots of good comments, a couple great jokes, many great observations. So yeah, thanks everyone for hanging out with us. Wheezy, I'm keeping my eye open for your sister. I'm gonna on my rewatch. I'm gonna keep an eye open for any grandma that's looks like a refugee grandma.
Refugee grandma.
Right. But yeah, so thanks for joining us and hanging out. We'll see y'all next week. Not sure what John and I will be talking about next week. We won't have Nessie. She gets her regular work weekend. But
Ooh.
but John and I will think of something once I know. Oh, sorry, excuse me, too much talking, and I'm out of practice doing it that much. So we'll be back next week with something fun and nerdy. Who knows? Will a TV show's coming? I'm super hyped.
Oh God, yeah.
We've already done a retro review of that, or I would suggest that. But yeah, we did a retro review of that. Go watch that. Go watch Willow, because that is the show I'm looking forward to the most. More than House of the Dragon, more than your Lord of the Rings show, more than Andor, or it's a thing for me. I named my oldest daughter Elora after the freaking princess from that movie. So yeah, I'm hyped for that one, and I can't wait to cover it. Totally off topic there. Yeah, we're supposed to be wrapping up. Love you guys. We'll see you next week. Until then, I'm Steven. That's John. That's Nessie. We'll see you soon. Peace, and be excellent to each other.